What's up, y'all? It's your boy Seth Grimes, and today we're taking a look at the state of AEW, and it's not good. Now, I'm not here full doom and gloom. I'm not here to say, oh, AEW's done, AEW's buried, they're going away. I don't think that's the case. In fact, I do think they're going to land their second TV deal or their third TV deal. They will be renewed when their contract is up, and they'll probably get more money because that's the state of television these days. And even though their ratings are dropping, AEW does do pretty damn good compared to a lot of other shows. And will probably be seen as worth keeping around for the live viewership and that sort of thing, the engagement, all of that comes with a live show like that. So I assume AEW will be renewed, but after that, if things keep going the direction that they're going, I don't know that they're going to get another TV deal after that. And it worries me. I see AEW on its way to being closer to TNA than they are to WWE. And when they started, and even right now, I'd say they're definitely a major number two. They're as close to WWE as any other company ever was, since WCW. So they're not there yet, but they're on that trajectory. If they keep dropping, attendance keeps dropping, all the other things I'm going to list in this video, we could see AEW become a TNA or just fail altogether. And I'm going to get into my points here, and I know this is going to be controversial, and I know I'm going to get the hate in the comments from the AEW loyalists and all the marks. I want to explain my fandom just a little bit before I get into the details here. I was a diehard AEW fan. I was a lifelong wrestling fan that got to a point under Vince McMahon in the 2000 teens where it was just hot garbage. WWE was a terrible product. And I got excited when NXT came around, but it wasn't enough to feed my wrestling itch. Then AEW came. And I fucking loved it. It had everything I needed. It had edgier product. It had blood. It had violence. Wrestlers were able to create their own storylines and that sort of thing and just be who they were meant to be. I really loved it. In fact, I went to 2 AEW shows. I did reviews of both of them. They are up here on the YouTube channel, and they are glowing reviews. I went to the First Dance where CM Punk made his return, and I was also at the Blood and Guts in Detroit for the Jericho's team versus the Blackpool Combat Club. And I loved those events, and they were among, if not the funnest wrestling shows I've ever been to. And I've been to a lot of WWE shows. So that says a lot. So I'm not sitting here knocking them by any stretch at all. I loved them for a long, long time, but I'm seeing a lot of things now that are starting to worry me as a fan. And I think a lot of you are seeing them too. So let's go ahead and get into them. Talk about them, and then we'll give our final thoughts at the end here. The first problem that I see starts all the way at the top of the company, and I'm talking about the boss man himself, Tony Khan. Now look, we're all a bunch of wrestling nerds. If you're watching this, you're a wrestling nerd. So I think deep down we all can respect at a certain level a giant nerdy wrestling fan that falls into a shit ton of money, that decides he's going to take that money and start a national wrestling promotion and try to scoop up all the top stars. Look, many of us would do the same if we had just billions of dollars at our disposal, right? Like, he's an old E-Fed guy, right? Which is laughable to a lot of people. But this is just his real life E-Fed. That's what he's doing. So many of us would do the same thing. Respect to him for that. But he's fucking this up royally. And it's his ego. He has a massive ego problem. He doesn't want to listen to anybody's advice. He wants to do everything himself. He can't be the booker of 2 separate promotions and the head of creative. And you ever listen to them rattle off his job titles at these press conferences? They're like CEO and president and owner and chief fucking fry flipper and booker and the manager for everybody, you know, and the fucking he's the young boy too. He goes out and sprays them down with the cold spray and shit. Like, he does everything, and he refuses to delegate. He refuses to build a team around him. He recently just added a bunch of people to his talent relations team, but really that's just to create other people to go talk to wrestlers so he doesn't have to, you know, because he's busy. He doesn't have the time to. And that's fine. Vince was a busy guy too, but Vince, you know, Tony Khan has other businesses and stuff he's trying to run. He is spread too thin. He has always needed, and especially desperately needs now, a booking team around him and probably some wise men to advise him on other things. And at this point, he wouldn't do wrong to just hire somebody to run the whole fucking thing. Jeff Jarrett's there. Bump Jeff Jarrett up to just be your head of whatever, and you can be the owner and you can be the boss and you can be the final say. But other than that, you kind of stay out of it and let other people run your wrestling business for you, because you're not doing a good job. You're fucking sucking at it, as a matter of fact. And there's no way he doesn't know this at this point. He's been told by many people. It's been said by everybody online. At this point, Tony Khan, it's pure ego. It's pure pride. It's pure stubbornness that he's not changing. Another problem with AEW is poor use of talent. AEW has had in the past, and still to this day, one of the best rosters that have ever been compiled in wrestling. He has a fantastic roster at his disposal. Tony Khan is not using his roster to its full potential. You have guys like Miro and FTR and fucking Will Hobbs and Ricky Starks all sitting on the sidelines doing jack all shit, right? Like, whose girlfriend did Miro fuck to piss off somebody in the corporate office that he just can't get on the show? You know, he debuted as the weird fucking gamer guy, and then that was Tony's idea, Miro had said. And then when Miro switched to what he wanted to be doing, what the internet wanted him to do, he had a little run with the TNT title, and now he has disappeared off the face of the planet. Is he hurt? No. Is he suspended? No. Is he filming a movie? No. He's just sitting home collecting fucking dust and a paycheck. For what? For why? If you listen to Lana when she did an interview, it was because Tony Khan has his favorites. And apparently by her saying that proves that Miro is not one of them. FTR, there's an egregious use of FTR. FTR, what are they doing sitting home most weeks? This is your top tag team in the company. This is the best tag team in the world. Maybe the Briscoes, maybe the Usos, but FTR is in that conversation. And now FTR is barely on TV. They've been out of the AEW world title picture. Now they're going to get a title shot, but it's random. It's thrown together. They're not going to win the belts because of that. There's no momentum behind them. There's no steam. There's no story in it. Poor use of talent. You have guys like Chris Jericho that are on the show, sometimes twice in one show, a promo and a match every single week. And then there's guys that you have sitting home not doing anything. They're not on TV for 2-3 weeks, and then they randomly appear and we're supposed to care? Where have you been all my life? House of Black, they want to leave. They want to get the fuck out of there. Why? Probably because they're not being used the way that they thought that they would be. There is a serious lack of proper use of talent in this company. And Tony will say, oh, you know, there's only so many TV hours and blah, blah, blah. Then why are you signing everybody and their mom? And why are you having guys like QT Marshall having a match on Dynamite? Shouldn't he be just on Rampage or Dark or something like that? And why are you bringing in guys that nobody fucking knows? AR Fox gets a fucking TNT title shot. Why? When? How? Why is he on TV? Why isn't Ricky Starks getting a TV title shot? You know what I mean? Like, it's poor use of talent. Right along with the poor use of talent comes bad booking. This company has bad booking. It does not use its talent properly to its full potential, and when it does use its talent, it uses them like shit. There's a tournament every other week for something. There's always no-name guys on your TV. Oh, he's from fucking Top Indie buttfuck. Or, oh, this guy's really killing it on Dark that nobody watches. Or, hey, here's this fucking no-name indie guy, like, or no-name Japanese guy. And look, the diehard wrestling fans know these people, right? But the average watching Joe Schmo, like, who knows who Shibata is when he walks out? Jim Cornette poignantly pointed out that he comes out in a fucking t-shirt and sweatpants, and it's a fucking Japanese guy, and everybody's just supposed to go, oh my god, it's Shibata. Now, if you know wrestling and you are, you know, you're a diehard fan that is educated in wrestling around the world, then fucking great. Then you know who he was, and that was a good pop for you. But how many people out of the million that watch, maybe, if lucky, maybe a million of AEW fans that watch AEW know who the fuck Shibata is? I mean, I barely know who he is, and I've been watching New Japan since Wrestle Kingdom fucking, like, what, 10? The first time, you know, WWE, when Jim Ross went over there, I think, for the first time, was the first time I had watched a New Japan show. But fuck, Kenny Omega was still the cleaner. He was still a low mid-card guy in the fucking Bullet Club under AJ Styles. Nakamura was still there. Like, look, I'm an OG New Japan fan. I don't watch everything that they do, but I mean, I've been around a while now. And I barely know who Shibata is, okay? So the guys watching AEW, probably not so much. This is the reason why you have under 1,000 viewers. The women's talent are getting booked poorly. Either wrestling fans don't care about the women's talent, or women's talent have not had enough opportunity to get over, but they are dying a slow death in the segments that they're booked on. And Tony will book them all together to be sure that he just drives away fucking... There were 3 women's segments in a row on the last Dynamite. You know, you can say what you want about the women's division, but it's killing your ratings. There's impromptu title matches just out of nowhere. Why is it? We talked about this under the talent thing, but it applies here. Why is AR Fox getting a TNT title deal? TNT title match. Why? Who the fuck is he, and why does he deserve a title match? People that follow the indies will know who he is, but that's it. You know, and AEW, if they want to be the super indies, that's fine, but that's going to cap them, because AEW doesn't do a proper job of introducing you to any of these people. They just present them like you should already know who they are, and then when you don't, you feel like a dumb fuck, and you feel like you're not in the loop, and it makes you not want to watch the show. Okay, I'm going to tune out now because I don't even know who this is. I don't get it. I don't get why the crowd's reacting to this person. Should I know? Why aren't you explaining this to me, you know? And no, they're not going to catch it when fucking Excalibur's trying to rattle off their fucking stats and accomplishments in you know, 12 seconds or less real quick while the guy's walking down the aisle. Show a video package. Hey, Shibata's... Well, that was a surprise, so I'll give him that. But here's AR Fox. He's going to be making his debut. Here's what you need to know. Here's why you should care about this guy at all. You know, Rampage is poorly booked. This is a show that has consistently dropped in the ratings. It started off hot and then just shit the bed almost instantly. This is just another Dark. It's all it is. It's Dark Elevation, Rampage. They're all missable. Nobody cares. And Tony Khan even said in a press conference once that, oh, you know, I'm hearing you guys. I understand what you're saying. I am going to make a better effort with Rampage to make it more must-see. You know, he gave the excuse that, oh, you know, I had talent injured and talent out and whatever. Like, now that everybody's coming back, this was before All Out. He said this, when Punk was on his way back in, and that, a lot of these injuries are starting to clear up. He's like, okay, well, now I gotta, his excuse was, I had to focus my talent on Dynamite, and that kind of left Rampage with the leftovers, but he has still not done anything with Rampage to make it relevant. There's no big story developments that anybody needs to see there. There's no big marquee matchups that you must see. You had CM Punk debut on Rampage. That was must see. What have you done since? Jack shit. The booking in this company is atrocious. Guys will rack up wins off of TV, so they'll seemingly get title shots out of nowhere. Oh, why does this guy get a fucking shot? He's won a lot on Dark. He's got a lot of wins. Where? On Dark Elevation. Where's that? YouTube? Yeah, I don't watch it. Nobody cares. It's a percentage of a percentage that actually watches these YouTube shows. There's just no actual thought or care. And look, he's been criticized about throwing random matches out there, and sometimes I like a good random match. It was argued that, you see like a Dax Harwood versus Bryan Danielson, for example. Random ass match, no real point to it, but it's a dope, fun match to watch, right? But that's not enough. And AEW is trying to hang its hat on being the super indies, and we're gonna bring in this name, and no, we're bringing in this name, and we're bringing in that name. You bring these guys in, and they're fucking dead within 2 weeks because they have no real direction or nothing going on TV. And then the fans are expected to care and continue watching, and it's just not set up for the doom. There's no compelling storylines on AEW. You could say that there are storylines, right? The Jericho Appreciation Society with the Blackpool Combat Club, and there was the thing between fucking Daniel Garcia and Jericho, and there's little stories that are in there, but you got the MJF William Regal thing, not really. It was a wet fart in church. Nobody cared. Why is Regal suddenly turning on the Blackpool Combat Club? It really didn't make sense other than to write Regal off of TV, which leads me to my next point. Talent are leaving AEW. The politics are starting to become more apparent there with the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are holding people down or refusing to work with people. They are playing all friends. If you're friends with the Bucks, you're golden. You get TV time, right? If you're not, fuck you. That's what. CM Punk's going to be gone from TV now. William Regal just left. The whole fucking House of Black wants to leave AEW. They want to go away. Andrade wants to leave. And that's just the tip of it. What happens once they lose an MJF? What happens when they lose fucking FTR? You think FTR or Amiro are going to re-sign with your company? You haven't even used them. You've done jack shit with them. They would be idiots to re-sign with AEW. They're going right back to WWE. William Regal's going right back to WWE. Adam Cole, everybody that you've brought in, you've used horribly, and they have to recognize that. And what are they gonna do? They left WWE because they didn't like Vince, because Vince was using them horribly because Vince was behind the times. He was a delusional old man who had no clue. And people wanted to get away from that. Triple H has a clue. He gets it. He understands the business, not just from WWE, but he's an old school NWA fan as well. He gets the history, the full history of wrestling, and he understands the significance and the importance of things like guys coming over there and keeping their name from another company, keeping their music and their gimmick if they can, like Cody did. The talent are going to continue to jump ship from AEW back to WWE. And this is going to be a bad look for AEW. It's going to look like a sinking ship. What happens when you lose MJF? You're going to lose all of your top guys to the WWE because you don't know how to use them properly. Bryan Danielson's probably regretting going over there. Look how poorly he's been used. This dude came off of main eventing WrestleMania. And now he's like a guy in the Blackpool Combat Club. He just can't pull a rating, can't pull a pay-per-view buy. He's cooled off very significantly. Fun to watch, but you need more than entertaining wrestling matches to keep people watching, as apparent by the continual dropping of the ratings, which is the next point. The ratings, the viewership is going down for AEW, continuing to go down. Rampage is at an all-time low. Dynamite is struggling to stay above 1 million constantly. They've been on TV for 3 years now. They cannot get over 1 million to save their lives. There'll be a couple weeks, maybe, and then they're right back down under 1 million again. They've even tried hot-shotting shit. You know, you'll see, they've had a couple weeks of 800,000 and change, so they'll fucking bust out a big return or a big debut or a big fucking title match, or they'll hot-shot something to get a rating, and then as soon as they do, it's right back down under 1 million again. And million's a good rating. That's the best that they can pull. That's a good show. They had their last week's show dropped down to 700,000 and change, watching the Young Bucks versus Death Triangle for the third time. This is becoming the Young Bucks Wrestling Federation and all of their friends, all friends wrestling, as Jim Cornette says. It's never been more true than now. Everybody that's been brought in that was not a direct friend to the Young Bucks, they've been buried or misused or whatever the case may be. Something's going on there where these guys, CM Punk was your top guy. He was the top of the card for a cup of coffee, and then he was ran out of the company. Granted, he did that to himself in a lot of ways, but CM Punk's not a guy that's going to put up with shit. He's not, all this girly politics stuff backstage from a couple of kids. He's going to call bullshit on it. And look, he did it in a very gross and ugly and disastrous train wreck kind of way. It was a bad look for the company. It was a bad look for Punk. It buried everybody all around. But at the same time, do you blame him to a certain extent if what he's saying is true and that kind of shit's going on? And it's backed up by guys like FTR, who clearly, have been railroaded by the Young Bucks at some point in AEW here. It's just a goddamn travesty. It's a shame the way that things are being done. But whoever's got Tony Khan's ear, and maybe that's Chris Jericho too. Chris Jericho's got Tony Khan's ear. And look, I like Jericho a lot, but I also recognize that he's a savvy businessman. I wouldn't go as far as to call him a snake, but he's savvy. And if you don't think that he's not going to play Tony Khan and keep him really close, look, what does Jericho always say every time he does his podcast and people criticize AEW or compare WWE to AEW or whatever? First thing out of his mouth is always, my boss has more money than your boss. Tony Khan has more money than Vince McMahon. Or, AEW has access to more money than WWE does. That's where Jericho's loyalties lie. And look, I'm not calling him a complete snake. I'm sure he likes being there. He likes having, the authority to talk to the younger guys and to kind of be in a position of leadership and power there and to be able to have the boss's ear like that. But don't think that he's not doing it because he sees how much that benefits him. He knows, and he said that too. If he goes back to WWE, he's going to be the washed up legend doing jobs for everybody. And that's just the way that it is. So if you don't think he's playing politics backstage too, you're wrong. But whatever's going on over there, it's driving people away. And the more people that jump over to WWE, the worse it's going to look for AEW. The lower their ratings are going to drop because now they don't have the stars and the talent to back it up. And they're going to end up closer to being a TNA than they ever were to WWE. And the final reason AEW has a problem is lack of direction. AEW has a terrible lack of direction. There is no direction for anybody. Paige is on record, or Saraya, when she came in, half the reason she was so nervous in her first promo and botched it because she literally had no idea what to say. She's on record of saying, I was just brought in and told, here's a microphone, go say hi to the crowd. You know what I mean? Now, I'll push back against that a little bit, because I've also said before that as a pro wrestler, it should be in your skill set to be able to take a microphone on the fly out to the ring and just be able to speak to the crowd from the heart, to cut a promo on the fly without having one written for you or prepared. Saraya, somebody that has wrestling in her blood, should be able to do that. But apparently she wasn't. She was, maybe just used to the WWE system or whatnot. But it wasn't just, there was no script. There was literally no direction. She came in and she didn't know what she was going to do. Renee Paquette had said the same thing. When she was signed, there was really no plan for her. It was kind of just, here, why don't you have a job and come on in and we'll figure out what to do with you while you're here. We'll find stuff for you. That's what Tony Khan is doing. He's signing all of these great talents, and he has no plan for them at all, and that's why they're all flopping, and that's why they're all losing momentum and steam, and that's why they're all fractions of what they were when they came into the WWE or into AEW. There's very few guys that are better off in AEW than they were before they came. Like a Jon Moxley, for example. Even though he's been a WWE champion, so you can't necessarily say he's achieved more in AEW. But, he's the top guy at the top of the card. Chris Jericho has a sweet spot. There's some guys that have a good deal with AEW. For the guys that don't, why did we come in the first place? It's a big problem. Renee had no direction. Paige had no direction. What was the plan for Bryan Danielson when he came in? He came in, had a couple good matches, had a match with Kenny Omega, right? Couple matches. Beyond that, it seemed like they didn't have anything for him. It was him and Mox that came up with the idea for the Blackpool Combat Club. That's buried everybody. It's been a complete fucking waste of a year for these talents, essentially. There's been a couple good things that came out of it, the Blood and Guts match and so on. But overall, it's hurt. Like Claudio, too. What the fuck has Claudio done since he's come in? Won the Ring of Honor title? Sure. Had a couple good matches? Sure. But he's not really any better off than he was in WWE. There's no direction. There's no plan. Tony Khan does not have a plan when he brings these guys in. His big plan is, hey, everybody look at this guy. You know what I mean? And beyond that, it's on the wrestlers to come up with their own shit, which is a fun idea in a concept, especially coming from WWE, where you can't even fart without it being scripted into the story, right? Now, all of a sudden, AEW, I don't know, what do you want to do? Sure, sounds fine to me. Go out there and do it. This is where a guy like Chris Jericho excels, because he's mapping out his entire fucking storylines and stuff. But what about a House of Black? What are they, when they're not getting the big push and they're getting frustrated with their spot? Why is that? Because there's no direction. They can sit and talk to Tony Khan and they have no idea where they're going with anything. There's no long-term plans. MJF, reportedly, according to, I believe it was Freddie Prinze Jr. who said MJF comes up with pretty much all of his ideas. Every storyline he's been a part of is pretty much his idea. And for the guys that can't do that, they're just floundering out there. They're floating around being wasted. And it's going to make fans lose interest in the TV product. That's why they're tuning out. All their top stars aren't draws anymore. Who's buying tickets? What are you buying? Honestly, so I said at the beginning here, I went to 2 different AEW shows. The first one was to see CM Punk, and it is some of the other AEW guys. Cody was even there at the time, I believe. He hadn't left yet. Maybe he had by then. I'm not sure. But really, I was there to see Punk, and I was happy to see a couple other guys. And then the Blood and Guts show, I went with a friend, and he didn't know any of the AEW people, and he really, all he cared about was seeing CM Punk. And Punk was injured at that time. He wasn't on the Blood and Guts show. Jericho was the draw. Luckily, they had the goddamn Blood and Guts match. That was the draw, because if it was just, Chris Jericho is in the main event against a Ring of Honor guy, or fucking Jon Moxley is going to bleed all over the place, I'm not buying a ticket for that. I'm sorry, I don't care. And MJF is fun and entertaining to watch, but I don't know that he's as big of a star as he can be, he's not selling out arenas himself yet. I know, at least me personally, he is not enough for me to buy a ticket. Like, I appreciate him. He's one of the top people I would want to see on an AEW show. But I don't know that I'm going to buy a $50, $60, $100 ticket and drive to a show and fucking pay for the parking and pay for the food while I'm there, which is outrageous, and drinks and whatnot, just to go watch MJF cut a promo for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not enough for me. So they're going to continue. Their arenas, they're having trouble selling tickets now everywhere. Their arenas are going to get smaller. Their pay-per-view buys are going to get lower. Their ratings are going to fall. Rampage is going to die a horrible death. AEW is on track to being Impact Wrestling. That's where they're going. They're going to get, so I will stand by what I said. They're going to get their new TV deal because it's coming up quick. And they're not going to fall hard enough or lose enough talent before then for the TV networks to be worried, or, in the changing landscape of TV, they love those live shows that have the interaction and stuff. They want that. So they're going to sign AEW again. But if AEW takes that contract and they can't keep any big name, megastar, marquee, ticket selling talent on the roster, they need another guy the level of CM Punk. It's not Chris Jericho. It's not. And it's not Bryan Danielson, unfortunately. It probably could have been, but it's not now. It's not Adam Cole, baby. Adam Cole needs to eat sandwiches and bulk up, and he's pretty much dead at this point. MJF's trying to carry it on his back, and I don't know that he has wide enough shoulders to do so. I think after that TV deal, we're going to see the slow death. Triple H is going to continue to steal away talent from AEW, all the top talent. They're all going. FTR is going to leave AEW. Miro is going to leave AEW. MJF's going to leave AEW. Adam Cole probably leave AEW again at some point. The Acclaimed will probably be a top draft pick for WWE. I'm sure they have their eye on the Acclaimed. I know for a fact they've already hit up Swerve Strickland again. They got their eye on him. Literally every big guy that you can think of that AEW could choose to run with. Even guys like Wardlow, Hobbs, Ricky Starks. These guys are not being used to their full potential, and they're going to get scooped up by WWE. Every last one of them at some point. What's that going to leave AEW with? And Tony Khan continues to still insist that he's going to be the booker and the head chief creator fucking guy in charge of all this, and that his direction is fucking beautiful and golden. And it's just, man, I'm worried. I've personally stopped watching AEW as much as I used to. I still watch the pay-per-views. I think their pay-per-views are exceptional. I think they're must-see. But, I've been skipping a lot of Dynamites lately, and I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a Rampage. Honestly, probably the last Rampage I watched was from the Blood and Guts in Detroit when I was there, and I just wanted to watch it to see what it looked like on TV. I have not watched even a match from a Rampage since then. Who cares? Nobody cares. Dark, never watched it. Elevation, that show's still on. And now you're at the point where Dynamite is not must-see anymore. There's nothing that you have to tune in to see what's going on Dynamite anymore. There's some great matches, but that's not enough. It's not enough in wrestling to book great matches, and AEW is the case study for that. But that's, kind of where I'm going to leave it. I could go on and on, but those are my thoughts on why I see AEW as being in big trouble right now. They have a problem, and they need to address it before they end up like TNA, and they just end up flopping and folding. Because that's the trajectory that they are on. Not imminent, not right away, but they're on their way there. But let me know down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Please, if you think I'm full of shit, or if I'm completely wrong, or I got it messed up and AEW is great, and you can articulate your reason why, don't just say, oh, AEW is a shit, I'm a fucking mark-ass fanboy. Give me a reason. Explain yourself, fool. or if you agree with me, or if you have any other thoughts to add, another reason I may have missed, or you want to add on it, anything that you have to add to the conversation, leave it down in the comments below. If you liked what you watched, please hit that subscribe button or the thumbs up down below. It helps me out great and will keep you up to date anytime I post other shit like this. Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy, Seth Grimes, and we will catch you in the next video.